How come that in Islam a Muslim man can marry a non-Muslim woman while a Muslim woman must marry from within the religion? Under Islamic law, a Muslim man is permitted to marry women from people of the book, الكتاب, specifically Christian women or Jewish women under certain conditions, while a Muslim woman can only marry from within the religion. This part is unanimous, there is no difference of opinion among the scholars, and there's consensus, or ijma'. Islamic law also forbids both Muslim women and men from marrying a polytheist or a mushrik. Why has Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it so? He doesn't tell us and we don't know, but we can try to make some logical assumptions about the divine wisdom behind this. Islam follows equality of roles, but not identicality of roles, meaning that in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, men and women are equal in terms of their deeds and their value, but we're still made different. This also extends to the idea of marriage, where men and women, husband and wife, have to a certain extent different rights and duties over and to the other. Meaning Islam also gives women's rights, which are also the husband's duties to his wife, which can be financially providing for her, giving her kind treatment, not harming her. There are specific rights for the woman. In turn, the husband also has specific rights over the wife. Within this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has ordained the man to be the qawwam of the family of the woman, meaning the maintainer and the protector of the woman. In Surah Al-Baqarah, and I'm going to be reading this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, "Women have rights similar to those of men equitably, although men have a degree of responsibility above them, and Allah is almighty, all-wise." Again, with rights comes responsibilities. A Muslim man who marries a Christian or a Jewish woman is commanded to respect her faith, cannot prohibit her from practicing her faith or visiting the church or synagogue. Islam seeks to provide the wife with respect of her husband for her religion, which in turn protects the family from destruction. You also have to remember that given that Islam is the last of the three Abrahamic faiths, whether a Muslim man gets married to a Christian or a Jew, he will acknowledge her scripture and her prophet, he will respect it. He can't deny the scripture or the prophet because it's inevitably part of his own faith in Islam. A non-Muslim marrying a Muslim man won't lose anything of her because she won't be subject to despise or disrespect by her Muslim husband because of her faith. On the other hand, a non-Muslim man marrying a Muslim woman won't necessarily possess these things when marrying her. A non-Muslim man wouldn't acknowledge nor believe in the last Prophet ﷺ. He would probably think him to be a false prophet. He'd be denying her prophet, her scripture, and her religion altogether. Islam follows its own logic. When it prohibits a Muslim man from marrying a non-Muslim other than a Jewish or a Christian, it's for the same reason that it prohibits a Muslim woman from marrying any non-Muslim altogether. For those who say, and specifically to Muslim women who say that this is gender discrimination or that this is unfair to the women, if that's the case, then we have to have a complete shift of outlook on this because that is not the case at all. If anything, this ruling advantages the woman. The Muslim woman would be at complete loss if she were to marry a non-Muslim man. And not even saying that that's an option, because in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that marriage would be null and void, it would be invalid. But these rulings are about protecting the woman's rights within her marriage. The responsibilities of a Muslim woman are quite uniform across the Abrahamic religions, whereas Islam specifically has set so many responsibilities and duties to a woman that he must fulfill for her. As mentioned before, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made the man the qawwam of the family, the maintainer and the protector. How is a non-Muslim man supposed to acknowledge or respect these obligations, fulfill these obligations for his wife? Or even the rights of the children for that sake, if he doesn't believe nor follow Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's teachings? But again, it's less about how the kids are raised and their last names, and more about upholding the wife's responsibilities, about having a partnership. And some might say or think, well, non-Muslim men can have the same values as a Muslim man. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has set the responsibilities of a Muslim man in stone, and He has set the rights of the woman in marriage in stone. You can only give the rights to a Muslim woman if you know the rights of a Muslim woman. If a non-Muslim marries a Muslim woman, his values aren't Islamic, and he would have some kind of authority over her as a non-Muslim. And her rights as a Muslim woman wouldn't be necessarily met, whether it's being financially cared for or spiritually cared for. And also think about, if this non-Muslim man doesn't believe, love, or fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what's going to hold him accountable to treating you right? You also have to remember that while it is permitted for Muslim men to marry non-Muslim women, this happens through permitted conditions, certain conditions. Muslim men cannot take Jewish or Christian women who are just that by name. They have to be practicing and truly follow it. A large number of people in the West, for example, nowadays, who are culturally Christian or culturally Jew, cannot actually be termed as of the people of the book, الكتاب. Therefore, the Muslim man must make sure that this woman is truly a practicing or believing Christian or Jew. However, there are also hadiths and Quran verses that express the desirability of a Muslim man and a Muslim woman together, where their fundamentals of religion and way of life align. This video is getting long, but perhaps it could also be because Islam has a missionary objective to be self-consistent, and so in the instances where, because of the marriage or because of the union, a Christian or a Jewish woman is likely to convert to Islam because of her husband's Islamic faith, that it becomes allowable, while it's not allowed in the other instance. But Allah knows best, that's just an assumption. But again, if this were allowed, the Muslim woman would be at a loss, because she would be someone who denies her religion, probably disagrees with her way of life, and may violate her rights over him. While on the other hand, the non-Muslim wife of a Muslim man would have a husband that acknowledges her faith, respects her faith, and fulfills his duties as a Muslim husband. I want to end off with a reminder, especially to Muslim women, that we don't have a flicker of knowledge of that of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's. To end off, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Al-Baqarah says, "Perhaps you hate a thing and it is good for you, and perhaps you love a thing and it is bad for you. And Allah knows while you know not."